Howdy. It's a Wednesday, and as such, it is a day for thinking. The mind, the dragon. And what's been on my mind quite a bit lately is the idea that truth is better understood as a paradox. A seemingly contradictory position that people who think truth is all one way all of the time, they've got some more thinking to do on the matter. In particular, I want to talk about the concept of Gnosticism and materialism. These two seemingly contradictory positions. I've spent time in my life in both camps of this paradox. I was raised in a very materialistic household. The concepts of spirituality were not readily discussed, and my father was he's a staunch-nosed scientific reductionist type of academic professor, so I was not exposed to anything beyond what you can feel, see, touch, taste, or smell. So that's the materialist position, that matter is primary, and that spirit either is secondary or doesn't exist at all. And the Gnostic position, which is an umbrella term that encompasses much of the spiritual community, is the position that spirit is primary and matter is secondary. And it's also the position, though, that this world, this life, is inherently either secondary to the afterlife, or it is a prison of sorts. So it's all about trying to get to the next life, right? And as such, Gnostics tend to shun the physical world. I spent 5 years being vegan. I guess this is the first time I've kind of broken the ice about not being vegan anymore. Just had a turkey sandwich for lunch. I've come to find that ascetic sort of sacrificing the flesh, my fleshly desires to eat meat, is a imbalanced position. I've also spent a great deal of time, focusing on cultivating my seed. The whole no-fap movement could be considered a Gnostic movement. However, I've come to see it more in terms of cause and effect, that the energy is there to spend how you will, but so if you charge yourself up, you're going to have the energy, and if you expel it, you're not going to have the energy. It's not a you're going to hell if you expel the energy kind of thing. It's just a simple matter of cause and effect. So those are two, you know, but like I spent quite a bit of time sort of first being a materialist when it comes to sexuality, just the orgasm, you know, spelling it as much as I could, you know, in my youth, and then coming to like the other polarity of like, don't ever do that, and now I'm like sort of at a healthier place when it comes to my understanding of that. So the point is that we shouldn't be either materialists or Gnostics. You know, I love my materialistic comforts. You know, I love to wear shiny metal. I love to work with shiny metal, and, you know, I love to work with physical materials. I do so daily. But I know people who are engaged in the same types of, you know, trades and stuff like that, and they have no conception of the spirit behind what they're engaged in. It seems like to them it's all sort of dead matter, and that it's just a lump of metal, it's just a rock, it's just a piece of wood. But there's a living spirit behind it, and there's certainly a living spirit when you put your time and attention into crafting something out of it. So I think there's a tendency for people to view my work online as like I'm flexing my material wealth or something, and so I get a lot of like eyebrow raises and browbeating from Gnostic types who think I'm just like showing off my wealth, right? But really, I'm it's not so much about the wealth for me, it's the skill. It's like, hey, look what I did, look what I made. Because in our, you know, overly imbalanced materialistic but also Gnostic culture, we have to, you know, keep putting food on the table and bringing in that dough to do so. So if I'm certainly not going to stop posting what I make in the hopes that somebody wants to come around and buy it. I know there's a lot of people who think I should just like be in one camp or the other. You know, I should just focus all my time and attention on making cool stuff and selling it, right? And then there's a whole bunch of people who are like, why aren't you speaking the truth more? Why aren't you, like, you know, ringing the alarm bell about the tyranny of government and, you know, the dark occultists and all of that? Like, it's like, I'm not going to martyr myself any more than I have to. When it comes to that, there's a healthy balance to be struck there, and that's for each and every man and woman to decide where they want to draw the line for themselves. Yeah. Like, I do sacrifice my time and attention to speak the truth, and lose out on probably a lot of business, because I'm not just presenting myself, you know, retard maxing, like I'm just a grug who, you know, pounds metal all day. No, I'm actually like very articulate and intelligent, and here I am proving as such. But people don't like that. They want you to be stupid, so that a lot of people will only support you if you present yourself as stupid or less intelligent than they are. They don't like to be challenged on their illusions. So this is a large topic, but I've come to view myself as an animist, a pagan animist, viewing no distinction really between the world of matter and the world of spirit. I see everything as alive. The tree is alive, and even the rocks are alive on some level. But I don't view this physical world as a prison. I view it as a gift, really. It's very unfortunate what this world has been made into by the minds of evil people. It's not inherently a prison, but it is rapidly becoming a prison. And I think it's partially due to the people being in either one of those two camps, of being too much of a materialist or too much of a Gnostic. So anyway, food for thought.